Hi, I'm Eileen Parchisepi, and I'll be walking you through a social emotional web based learning resource I designed for middle school classrooms. What is the project about? I designed a web resource whose overall purpose is to teach learners social emotional awareness as well as coping skills. In doing so, learners will have an in depth understanding of more complex emotions, be able to analyze social situations, and identify personal triggers which cause them to feel negative emotions, as well as choose coping strategies that can help them manage those negative feelings or solve conflicts that they're having in a more positive manner. Who is this resource intended for? This resource was designed for middle school students between the ages of 10 to 13, especially those who are at risk. For example, students who are chronically absent, failing academically, having difficulty establishing relationships with peers, and so forth. Why is this resource necessary? Research has found that many students lack emotional maturity and awareness. This drastically affects their academic performance, behavior, and health. Students may take part in extremely risky behaviors, ultimately having a negative impact on their academic and personal successes. What will the design look like, and how is it organized? Because this website aims to be a positive and calming resource for students, I chose blue tones to create a serene atmosphere. In terms of multimedia principles, many were incorporated, however, three more heavily. Research has shown that many middle school students are reading below state standards. To provide young learners with dual channels to access the information and not solely rely on the text, the modality principle was applied. As middle school learners transition from concrete to abstract thinking, they still require concrete examples to support their understanding of the world around them. For this reason, the multimedia principle was incorporated into the design. Finally, the segmenting principle can be seen throughout so that learners can control the pace in which they're exposed to the information and ultimately reduce cognitive overload. The website is organized so that learners can navigate from the home page to a self-assessment in order to determine how socially and emotionally aware they are and areas they can improve upon. From the self-assessment or home page, learners can navigate to any of the resource sections, such as emotional vocabulary, where they are provided with definitions of positive and negative emotions, as well as examples of when these emotions might be experienced and an animation depicting what the emotion looks like. When the learner visits the coping skills section, they are provided with 4 categories: calming, distracting, moving, and thinking strategies. Each category provides the learner with skills to aid in their ability to cope with negative feelings or difficult situations. Here are some wireframes from my initial design. The learner would be taken to the home page where they would be presented with a carousel. To the left and right of the carousel are arrows that the learner would use to navigate through an explanation of what social emotional awareness is, the benefits of having this type of awareness, and ultimately a link to the self-assessment. At the top of the page is the navigation bar where learners click and access the 5 other sections of the resource. If the learner clicked the emotional vocabulary button in the navigation bar, they would be taken to this page. Definitions can be found in the accordion table to the left. This reduces how many emotions they are presented with, keeps emotions contained to the 5 basic emotions of happy, sad, angry, afraid, and ashamed. Once the learner selects an emotion, they can access the definition, which is narrated, in order to reduce essential overload. Learners have complete control of when they hear or see the information, as well as having the ability to repeat anything they wish to hear or view again. Along with learning about different types of emotions, learners can test their understanding by clicking on the button on the bottom right of the page. This would take them to a review in which they practice identifying emotions, which are displayed in picture form. The coping skills section would provide learners with instructions on how to navigate through this page, as it offers them 4 categories to choose from. Upon clicking on a type of coping skill, the learner would then be able to access a variety of strategies within that category, as well as an animated and narrated tutorial on how to perform the strategy and scenarios for when it's most effective. Screenshots of the homepage, emotional vocabulary, and coping skills pages can be seen here. The Games section offers learners with 5 different games. The games provided would serve to reinforce the skills introduced to learners throughout the web resource. The games are in the format of short stories. Learners begin by listening to instructions on how to play at the top left. They then select their avatar in order to enhance the gaming experience. They would then be taken through the stories and required to solve dilemmas utilizing skills such as emotion regulation, empathy, cooperation, communication, impulse control, and social initiation. As they progress throughout the levels of the game, they receive badges for newly acquired emotions and coping skills. Finally, an example of one of the coping skills learners might see if they selected belly breaths from the list of calming strategies. Here, they're able to start, stop, repeat, fast forward through the animated and narrated tutorial, as well as read a brief bulleted list on when the strategy is most effective. Thank you so much for watching my presentation. I hope you enjoyed.